One of the areas of the way that we live our lives is the way that we lie. Everybody lies. And we lie for different reasons. We lie, which we call white lies, where we don't want to hurt somebody. And so we don't tell the truth. Sometimes we lie when we're telling a story, relating something, and we exaggerate, and we put in extra information to make the story more interesting, or to give ourselves a higher status, to show ourselves in a better light. We do that. And then we lie to get ourselves out of trouble, which is a quite common one, where we find ourselves in a position that we don't want to be in, or we feel uncomfortable, and so we tell lies to get out of that situation. And then we tell lies to get other people into trouble. When we say that someone's done something or whatever, and that the other person then is punished, sometimes for something that we do. So lying is quite complicated. And what is the alternative to lying? And that is to be truthful. And why then isn't that the natural state of affairs? Why can't we be truthful? And why do we find it so difficult? And we find lying in every strata of society. Politicians lie. They lie, they give false information, or fake news as it's known, or they bend things, they alter things, and they give it an edge, a different side or an edge to something, instead of a balanced view. Businesses lie about how well they're doing, or what they're doing to their vendor, or their products. If their products are damaging to society, so they're making loads of plastics, or wrapping products in plastics, and this plastic gets thrown away and we get this huge mountain of plastic. Instead of being truthful and saying, well look, yes, I am manufacturing plastic, stuff is in plastic, this is harming the planet, and taking responsibility for that. And teachers lie. When they say that everyone can benefit by our educational system, which is an absolute nonsense. Yet they permeate this myth and they go along with it without stopping to check whether it is real or not. I used to tell lies, and one day I saw a bike lying in a hedge belonging to our neighbour, son, and I took it and was riding around on it, and I met my friend David, and we were out in the road, and we decided to play chicken. And so we pedalled off in different directions and then faced each other, and then we raced to each other to see who would be the first person to veer off. Well, on this occasion, neither of us did, and we hit each other with great force. And I buckled the front wheel of the bike, and I managed to ride it. I went back and I threw it into the hedge where it had been put and went off. About an hour later, I was met by the neighbour, and he said to me, Did you take this bike? And I looked, and I was frightened of being punished, and I was quite frightened of the man, and so I said no. And he said to me, "Are you sure?" And the more he questioned me, the deeper became my entrenchment in saying no, I hadn't told the bike. And this went on for over an hour. Now, he knew I had taken the bike. I knew I had taken the bike. He knew I was lying. I knew I was lying. And eventually, unable to keep up the sustained pressure, with great relief, with absolute relief, I said yes, I had taken the bike and I had damaged it. And he said, you could have said that before. And I said, yeah, I'm sorry. And he just took the bike and he went in. Now, I felt so angry, mortified. I really disliked him, absolutely, almost hating him for making me reveal the truth. But in actual fact, that was one of the best things that ever happened to me, because I realised that you can tell the truth. The world isn't going to fall and the world isn't going to collapse or fall on your head. You know, it's important. And since that time, I've tried to tell the truth, to be honest. Now, truth, what we think is real and what we think is truth is not, of course. Our perceptions change all the time, and when we get new knowledge, then our ideas and perceptions change or should change as we get with new knowledge. So lying to get out of trouble is I discourage in anybody. I just think that it's important to tell the truth, and there may be consequences, and I think that we need to face those consequences. Our conscience should be able to tell us, yes, this is wrong, and whatever happens to us, we have told the truth. Our conscience can be clear, and whatever punishments that's inflicted upon us is that we have to take. Now, with the lying of getting someone else into trouble, that's develops amongst children, and if you see that as a parent or a guardian, it is your responsibility to immediately stop that behaviour, because it becomes endemic within the family, and you can make a scapegoat out of someone where the siblings will constantly lie to get another sibling into trouble, deflecting any punishment away from themselves, and that's quite harmful. And parents must be quite aware that of listening to tales of what other people say, and when a situation happens, to go through it and evaluate it properly, because the children may be lying, and someone, if they are, someone's going to be hurt. The idea of lying, exaggerating stories, I always think is important. I see no problem with exaggeration, as long as the person who is exaggerating the story is aware that they are exaggerating the story, that they are embellishing it to make it more interesting, and and they can do it in a way that captures the imagination of the people who are listening, and that's important. And there's another lie that we should be very careful with, and that is lying to self. How many times we don't want to do something, or something happens and we lie. We don't want to give something to charity, and we lie to ourselves. Well, that person is an alcoholic and they will just spend the money anyway. Or I can't help that person because that person is a thief and it's not in my interest. we lie to our children. Oh, I'm much too busy to be able to discuss, talk about your day at school or your problem that you have. This lying to self is probably the most dangerous, because many times we're not aware that we are lying to self, and we need to monitor that, and we need to check a healthy temperature check, regularly, that what we're saying is truthful. Now, telling the truth is also very, very hard. People ask me for my opinion. I very rarely give it. I mean, I remember once someone was asking my opinion, and I just knew that they lied to themselves about the way they brought up their children. They thought they were the perfect parent. Well, none of us are perfect parents, and it's trial and error a lot. And thankfully, most children get through it. But she insisted and insisted, and I don't know, I let my guard drop, and I just mentioned something. Ah, God, she hit the roof. She locked herself up in the bedroom and didn't come out for about 5 days. That's true, she didn't come out, and meals had to be taken up to her. She was absolutely, she could never been so criticised, because she valued what I said, and she thought, she'd lied to herself that, I would come out and say, well, what a wonderful mother she was. And it's untrue. She was an appalling mother in so many different ways. And I hadn't mentioned it or brought it up. And the question is always, I always felt I shouldn't have given my opinion, because in the end it didn't help. And so sometimes being truthful creates a worse situation than it is by keeping quiet. But all the many different aspects yet, and perhaps we'll talk again about the whole concept of lying in a deeper way.